Hey everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Sermon. It's a place where we take a deeper dive into one of the things we wish we would have had longer to preach on this past week. And Coop, man, we've been having a great time through these 7 churches and preaching through it every week. This last week we did Thyatira, and even though we briefly touched on it in the message, Jesus says, here's going to be your reward, that you're going to be able to have authority over the nations if you remain faithful. Talk to us. What's that all about?
It was very interesting because that is one of those pieces that you usually don't have time to deal with. It's actually dealing with a reward, and there are 2 aspects to it. Who gets it and what does it consist of? The first one I'll say is the authority part. The word that's used for authority, exousia, is the same word used in Matthew chapter 28, verse 18, when Jesus says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. Absolute, total dominion. No one bucks it. No one is outside of that authority. He has absolute authority to do up to and including who lives and who dies. Which, by the way, if you read in Revelation 2:26, that is what he is going to give to the Nikes. He's going to give those individuals who are overcomers, and it's the word Nike. We get our word Nike from this Greek word, Nikao, which means a victor, one who successfully navigates whatever course is set before him. So it's not a general promise, it's a specific promise to specific people that Jesus Christ is going to allow us to exercise his sovereign authority of power. That ought to be enough to motivate any believer to strenuously strive to succeed and to have success, but it doesn't. Now, don't run away thinking that every believer gets it just because. No, it's a price to be paid, and in the context of these 7 letters, it goes all the way up to and including possibly dying for your faith. So it's a price to be paid for it, but the reward will sure make it seem deal in comparison.
All right, and so you've talked about who. What are the nations that we're going to be ruling over? What does that mean, to have authority over these nations?
Yeah. In the Bible, there are different words for nations, and there's one that is used if you want to include Israel and the Gentiles, because the Bible draws a distinction between the nation of Israel and the nation of the Gentiles. And in this passage, the nations, ta ethne, refers only to Gentiles. It does not include the nation of Israel, because Jesus had already promised that rulership over the 12 tribes to his apostles. But the Gentile nations, they were not designated in terms of who would rule, but that word that he's using there says that those believers who are faithful to the utmost, and I consider it probably at the upper echelon, they will in fact receive the ability to sit on thrones, exercising total dominion, life and death, over Gentile nations. And this, of course, is during the millennial kingdom, the 1,000-year reign of Christ.
And that's important. So this isn't in the eternal heaven. This is in the millennial reign.
Correct.
All right, excellent. Anything else you want to add about what we talked about in Thyatira?
Yeah, he also says that he's going to give them the morning star. And that is a metaphor, it's a figure of speech for he's going to give you very wide recognition. In other words, there is going to be, we don't know, some kind of ceremony, some kind of setting where God will announce the people that will receive these special rewards. And I think all through the kingdom, however big it is or however vast it is, these people are going to be known. They're going to be as the morning star, the first light shining to give evidence of the reality. I think that, along with the promise of the authority, ought to motivate believers to strive very hard to be found in that select group.
Amen. You know, when you think of Revelation, a lot of times people shy away. It's confusing. Well, what I love about this series is Jesus is very direct,
Amen.
Clear to these churches.
That's exactly right.
And what he's saying 2,000 years ago is just as relevant today.
It's just as applicable today.
And so hope you'll join us for the rest of the series. Thank you for being a part of Beyond the Sermon today. Coop, thank you so much. Go to East Winter Garden, hear Coop preach every Sunday at 11 o'clock.